The latest generation Nissan Patrol is a vivid example of what an unsuccessful marketing strategy can do to a worthy car. In the 90s, Patrol was a competitor to Toyota Land Cruiser in Russia, but in the new century the situation has changed. Why? The first reason is the lack of decent engines. The second, the Land Cruiser 100 offered both the luxury version of the VX and the uncomplicated workaholic STD and GX. Well, the third is that the Nissan advertising department did not pay attention to this SUV. Appeared at the end of 1997, the Patrol GR in the 61st body did not differ much from its predecessor in terms of design and aggregate base. And this means that the entire filling has been field tested by tens of thousands of vehicles and millions of kilometers. The 2004 restyling removed the GR designation from the model index, updated the exterior and interior, but did not touch the transmission and chassis. And as a result of the currently produced and officially supplied Japanese large SUVs, Patrol is the only representative of the old school, i.e. frame, with the main drive to the rear axle, with dependent suspensions and a two-stage transfer case with manual control. The 61st Patrol was out of luck with the engines. Smartheads from Nissan decided to deprive Europe along with Russia and put a dead RD28 ETI turbo diesel with a volume of 2.8 liters, 128 horsepower, on this heavy and large car. In 1999, it was replaced by a 3-liter ZD30 DDT turbo diesel with a capacity of 158 horsepower with, in some markets, 170 horsepower. If the 2.8-liter engine was blunt and responded to overheating by deformation of the cylinder head, then the 3-liter engine turned out to be a Trojan horse. Not only did his fuel equipment often say "Fi" to medium-quality diesel fuel, he also pleased the owners with burning pistons, usually the fourth cylinder, and problems with the blockhead. Treshki were changed under warranty, but after modernization they began to overstep the warranty period and break down at a run close to 200,000 kilometers. Of course, there are happy specimens, but they are the ones that drive in a gentle mode, do not drag heavy trailers and do not go far from good gas stations. The 4.2-liter atmospheric diesel TD42, 125 to 135 horsepower, remained in the line of power units, but only for third-world countries. This unpretentious and very hardy engine with a gear-driven gas distribution mechanism is a legend in the off-road world. Its 160 horsepower turbocharged version was installed only on right-hand drive versions, that is, for the Japanese and Australian markets. There were also two gasoline 6-cylinder engines, TB45E 4.5L, 200 horsepower, in 2004 replaced by TB48DE 4.8L, 245 horsepower. The first engine is similar in characteristics to a tractor diesel engine. It is grassroots, without picking up at high speeds and, in addition, gluttonous, less than 20 liters of gasoline per 100. This is from the realm of fantasy. The 4.8-liter with good traction and dynamic characteristics also loves to feast on fuel. For example, known to us record economy of 16.8 liters per 100 was achieved on a flat, straight country road with a speed limit of 90 kilometers per hour and without a single overtake. And if you drive actively, then 25 to 30 liters will fly into the pipe for sure. As for reliability, the gasoline 6s are doing very well with this. In terms of corrosion resistance, Patrol is not ideal. The cars of the debut years of production, which have been in operation in Russia for a long time, will probably already have a rotten frame, corrosion on the floors, under the lining on the wings, sills, and pockets of the rear wheel arches. As fans of this car say, if you come to the garage at night and turn off the light, you will hear how your Patrol rusts. One thing is good, brake pipes and fuel lines are not yet on the list of those who fell under the onslaught of corrosion. Transfer case for Patrol part-time 4WD. Since there is no center differential, all-wheel drive can only be used on slippery surfaces. A long drive in 4x4 mode on asphalt leads to chain stretching in the transfer case and a general reduction in transmission life. Cardans and crosses equipped with grease fittings will easily cover several 100,000 kilometers if they are regularly sprayed. If you do not pay attention to the broken cross, then a chain reaction will start. First, the spline connection in the universal joint will break, and then the bearing of the axle gearbox shank. Well, in general, axle gearboxes are very hardy, and even riding on emulsion for a long time cannot finish them off. The front hubs are connected by semi-automatic couplings, and for difficult off-road conditions, their manual switching from the auto to lock position using a balloon wrench is provided. If this condition is neglected, then after 70 to 100,000 kilometers with frequent use of all-wheel drive, the clutches will begin to crackle, and this is a signal that the car will become rear-wheel drive pretty soon. As a rule, semi-autos are changed to manual hubs, mainly, of course, out of economy. The manual transmission, paired with the 2.8-liter diesel engine, does not have a large resource, but the one with the 3-liter one is more enduring. Well, eternal cargo boxes are combined with large motors. Automatic, which is a simple 4-speed, 5-speed with manual mode, is very tenacious. Patrol lacks electronic gadgets that have become familiar to many. There is no trace of a stabilization system, a safe descent from a mountain, or an anti-roll. However, almost all instances have a minimum of comfort: power accessories, glasses, mirrors, central locking, ABS, air conditioning, front airbags. In the maximum configuration, leather interior, sunroof, front seats with electric drives. Nevertheless, even on the 2009 model, the standard audio system does not read the MP3 format and, which is unworthy of an SUV, shakes off the disc tracks on bumps. There are no typical electrical problems with the car, and even a starter with a generator has a reputation for being unsinkable. Although there is one frail system, the rear axle stabilizer, which is switched off by means of an electric drive, is not attended on our roads. Not only will the replacement of its motor or rack cost at least $1,000, but there is also no point in it. Suspension moves with or without it are more than sufficient. The stabilizer is either changed to a regular one or thrown away altogether. Continuous front axle, steering with the gearbox. This is an application for, let's say, cargo behavior on the road. However, the combination of a fairly low center of gravity, a wide track and a compressively stiff suspension provides quite acceptable handling. True, we must not forget about the large turning circle and about a fair amount of shaking on the country road. The running gear resource, of course, depends on how and where to drive. But in average Russian conditions, with a run of 80 to 100,000, it will be necessary to replace the struts and bushings of the stabilizers, after which the shock absorbers and hub bearings. After 150,000 kilometers, attention should be paid to the front axle, where the steering knuckle support bearings, oil seals, and grease are updated in a preventive manner. As for gear oils, it is better to change them not according to the 260 map, but upon crossing the fords. Solid blocks of levers are not consumables, and it feels difficult to understand that they are worn out. Rod ends can withstand more than 100,000 kilometers, and steering gear leaks, a mileage indicator of 300,000. Moreover, the gearbox is reparable. In the brake system, the caliper pistons may become soured, but this is a consequence of driving with torn anthers. When looking closely at a used Patrol, one must remember that such a car was most likely purchased for intended use on bad roads. And what off-road and a negligent owner do with technology, our readers do not need to explain. So if the used Patrol is not a dark horse, and if you want, you need to take this last of the Mohicans, especially since it has a couple more advantages: indestructibility and a relatively low price.